All right, y'all. I just spent like 15 minutes recording something. I thought I had it all down. Went smooth, went well, uploaded it, tried to edit using the transcript. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting for it to render. And that transcript line is just flat. And I thought, maybe it's that dadgum hotel connection again, the internet connection failing. And then finally finished rendering and still a flat line on the sound. And then I realized that I never pulled the microphone right here. So there was nothing to transcribe. I left this stupid microphone about 2 feet away. So I thought, okay, what's a good coach gonna do to get the team charged up? Me being my own team. So I gotta be a good coach. And then I thought, I'll just channel my innermost Les Miles and see what would he do. And then, it's obvious what Les would do. I don't know how he selects one, but somehow he picks a blade of grass, puts it right there. I don't know why. I don't know how much longer I can hold that, but there you go. I'm in a better, I guess I'm in a better place now. All right, back to work. All right, so I wanted you to see where I'm at with these slides and the slide outlines and which one I'm going to use to build everything out. So here we went with Claude. Okay, so I wrote my prompt and the prompt goes through and it produces all the lessons and the slide decks, right? So it creates the slide and it creates speaker notes, and if it needs bullets, it'll create bullets. I've gone through a bunch of these and I like what it's doing. Now keep in mind that I have this really rich document repository or knowledge base behind this. So it's got a lot to work with. But anyway, bottom line is I went and I produced all of these things and then we compiled them inside of here. So each module has 5-6 lessons and each lesson needs its own outline and then those lessons become slides. So what I did was I did a few of them, and then I had Kelly produce these things. So it's basically a giant Word document that has all of them pasted in there, right? So we got module 5, lesson 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, right? So it's got them all in there. And then the trick is, all right, so how do we produce the slide decks? So here's the technique. I go over here, I take my prompt, and I'm going to test the GenSpark prompt, and I'm going to test the Gamma prompt. Let me just show you how this works. I would go into GenSpark, and I would just copy this whole beast in there, like that. And then I'm going to tell it I'm producing slides. So I'm going to go into AI slides. And then I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, so now it's waiting for the details. So that's essentially the pre-prompt, if you will. And then I'm going to go over here and let's just grab lesson 5.5. So all I do is I just scroll down here to the bottom of 5.5, select, copy it, go back over to the GenSpark thing, and I'm going to change this to slides. Then I'm going to paste in all the slides. All right, so that's a big old paste, as you can see. A whole lot of stuff. Look at the scroll bar on that bad boy. Let's see what it does. So when I crank all that out, GenSpark will start producing basically code, HTML, CSS, and it'll start producing this slide deck. And then when it's finished, I can export that into a PDF, or I can export it into a PowerPoint slide deck, and then I can go into PowerPoint and animate it. And what I found was that it does a pretty good job. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it does a pretty good job. But then once you put it into PowerPoint, you got to break apart these groups, because it'll group elements together and they're not really grouped the way you'd want. So if you wanted to animate it, you'd have to break them apart. It's good for certain decks, but not for this one. So let me just show you so you can see how it's paying attention to my little guidelines. All right, so if I go back up here, I've given it the primary colors and all that stuff, right? So at least it knows what to do there. I haven't been convinced that it's actually pulling in the fonts, but we'll see. So you can see it's starting to do a decent job. It's got my little logo in here, and that is because I referenced it with an HTML link, in case you're wondering. You're playing around with GenSpark. You're a whole lot better off linking everything as an HTML and not really uploading it into GenSpark or anything like that. Okay, so we got that. And you can see it's cranking away little by little. If I scroll up, we're on 2 of 16. All right, now watch this. When I go into Gamma, you can see I've already got a bunch of them created. So I'm going to do the same drill in Gamma. So I'm going to go over here, paste as text. Now, I like these traditional 16 by 9. That's just me. That's how I like to play. All right, so then what I'm going to do is the same drill, except for I'm going to go grab the Gamma prompt. And the Gamma prompt doesn't need quite as much, because Gamma, you can set up templates. Takes you a little bit to set up the template, but no biggie. All right, so I got that in there. And now I'm going to go and grab that same text for 5.5, and I'm going to paste it down below there. So once again, I got the mother of all scrolls in terms of a prompt, but I'm going to tell it to preserve this exact text rather than make up its own, right? Because I've got it in there. But in my prompt, I'm telling it, look, these speaker notes, don't put them in. Now, that'll influence how it designs, but I don't want it to write the speaker notes in there. So we'll do this, and then click over here. Now, I've got a custom theme built. That way I don't have to constantly add those into the prompt. Then I just hit generate. Now, that's going to start generating, but I want you to look over here. So this thing is still cranking. If I scroll up a little bit, you can see it's 10 of 16. It's making its way through it. If I go back over here to Gamma, Gamma's booking it. It's cranking out the slides really quickly. This thing is coding and doing some fancy stuff. Shadow A challenge. See, this is the thing I don't like about GenSpark. It doesn't quite know how to do the graphics part yet. It comes up with some interesting things, but then you got this line that's in the way here as opposed. So what that means is these have to be on top of that line. You can fix that inside PowerPoint. But Gamma's finished and GenSpark is finished. Now, you can see Gamma was a whole lot faster. All right, so what I do with Gamma is in the code I said I want you to add this at the footer. For some reason, it won't add it in the footer. So I just cut that out, and then I go up here into the card styling and go into headers and footers, and then I'm gonna tell it on the left side, I want the theme logo. On the right side, I want some text. In there, I'm gonna paste that in there. All right, now, normally you would see it down here, and when you don't see it down here, this is a quirk of Gamma. You have to just click over here, and then when you click back, you see the text isn't there. I'm gonna paste the text one more time. Even though I hit enter, how it shows up. Sometimes it doesn't work. Don't know. All right, so then I go back up here, I click up here, and then I'm gonna click over here, and I'm just gonna add the logo. That way, all of my slides start the same way. There I got the logo at the header of the slide. It creates these goofy images I'll go into each one of these decks because I have to go through each one anyway and make sure it's designed the right way. I'm just kind of speeding through it. But for some reason, it loves to create graphics. Most of the time, it's a strange variant of the logo on a big building, which is very cool, actually. But I don't know what the heck this thing is. Anyway, so we got that. But now that I got the logo here, I don't need it here. So I'm just going to go into that card styling. And for this one, I'm going to turn that off. And there we go. And then I'm going to take that as the lesson number, change the file name for that, go back, and then you can see if I go to module 5, I've got them all in there. Now the thumbnail sometimes takes a little bit of time. Let me see if I refresh if it comes up. Yeah, sometimes it takes some time, but it's all good and it's in there. So there we go. Now it's refreshed. So I kind of like Gamma better. I mean, GenSpark do a good job. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of cool. But the interesting thing is I can look at this and then I can go back over to Gamma, whichever one it is, and say, which layout do I like better? Like, for instance, now this is the EU. It makes sense that that would be in non-US currency. But it's just speed-wise and everything, I went Gamma on this one. Thought you'd like to see. That's it. And so you can see so far, I'm cranking along. I got module 1 done. I got module 2 done. I got module 3 done. I got module 4 done. Almost through with module 5. And then it's just 6, 7, and 8. Now, 6, 7, and 8 are already done in terms of the slide deck outlines. Now it's just about cranking and getting the decks done, and then the fun part, recording each one of them. Anyway, it'll be good. See.